Jack Doss is with us this morning on the Bud Light Hotline. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Jared.
Good to have you, my friend, and got a lot of things that I want to cover with you, including your career. But let's just start with what happened this year. You've had a lot of honors. There's no doubt about it. But I guess to be named the USA Boys Basketball Coach of the Year by USA Today has to be right up there at the top. That's quite a recognition to be a nationwide Coach of the Year.
Well, it is, Gary. It's been a year of coach's dream. You know, it's Coach McDonald's All-American game. I think Markel Fultz is going number one, and Jason Tatum's probably number three. I hear from those guys all the time. So it's exciting, you know, to see those guys. We may have 5 of our players out of the top 20 drafted. So it's a neat experience. Then we won the state championship, which we were picked to do with John Petty, and what a run we've had with John and the leadership we've got from him. And then to go up and beat Bob Hurdy's team, which, you know, Morgan Wooten and Bob Hurdy's the 2 high school coaches. It's up there. And so it was nice to go up there and play them. I was worried about, would the officiating let us beat them, but we go up there and hold them to 28% shooting, and they're 6'11", 6'9", and we're 6'6", 6'4". So it was really a fun event up there to beat them. In fact, their fans came down in shock and, you know, was talking to us about it. And what a great event, and then go through the High School Hall of Fame or National Hall of Fame, and then come back out here and finish winning the state championship. And what a great year. And then USA Today, they called, and I wasn't sure, you know, somebody's playing a trick on me because, you know, they don't offer people in the South for basketball. And so as we talked, and I asked him, I said, how do you know that I got it, and who recommended me? He said, well, I did. He said, I met you about 5 minutes after the game that you played Bob Hurley's team, and we knew you were legit. So that's where it came from. So I'm just blessed to be named.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome. Also this season you got your 800th victory, which puts you in some rare air in the state of Alabama. I mean, that's a very, very short list, and you're not done. I mean, I think I asked you this after, you know, you Mae Jemison won the 5A state championship, if you were going to go for 1,000, and you kind of said, well, you never know. You got a good team coming back. So, but that's quite an accomplishment as well.
Well, we're going to be young this year. A lot of sophomores. I think we got some SEC players that's real young that'll be there. They're sophomores and freshmen. I think after Christmas, I think we'll be a pretty decent team, and then next year we'll be back where we were. So, I mean, real competitive, but could be there at the end of this year. So I'm excited about, you know, coming back. It's been easy to go out on top, but like I said, I just feel blessed, and this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And good Lord's blessed it, so, you know, why not?
Yeah, why not? I mean, you know, like you said, you overcame a prostate cancer scare back in 2000. You seem to be healthy and fit, and have just as much energy on the court as you ever have, and a chance to keep adding to that total. The fact that you've done it for so long, you won your first high school state championship at Hayes in 1981. Now here you are in 2017, winning it again. 4 different high schools. Players, you know, have come and go. You've been at different schools, as I mentioned, a long stint at Butler, but longevity. I mean, there's a lot of coaches that do it for a short time, or they do it at one school, they burn out. The fact that you've done it for such a long time at different places. I mean, have you had the same approach from early on as a coach, Jack, or have you changed through the years to meet the demands of the modern? We hear about the modern kid so much, or have you basically had the same principles since you started?
Well, the same principles. You know, basic needs of the kid has stayed the same. I think, you know, the parents have changed a lot of it, but they hadn't changed me. You know, my head's harder than everybody else's. So, I mean, you know, they have an understanding that, you know, they're not going to coach the team. And, but like I said, it's been a gift. The good Lord is, you know, I'm excited about the young men's future. And that's the main reason. I mean, longevity comes, you know, from enjoying what you're doing and helping young men to succeed. And I think we had 6 kids that that signed scholarship this time, and I just recommended one of our kids for the John Stallworth Academic Award, and he got it, Athlete of the Year in North Alabama, and excited about those type things. You know, he gets another, $500 on scholarship money, and that's what I'm here for. You know, to help these young men to succeed, and what a blessing it is to be a part of their life.
Tell me about how you got into coaching and got into high school basketball coaching. I know you grew up there in Northeast Alabama, graduated from Oxford High School, but how did your coaching career kind of unfold?
Well, it was crazy. I was drafted, during the
right.
War, and we're in Charleston, South Carolina, and I've been in for 6 or 8 months, and we had a new commander that came in from Marion, Alabama. And he called us all in the hangar, and there was about 3,000 of us. And he says, it's embarrassing. We've had the largest squadron all these years, and we've never won a base championship in anything. And says, do we have anybody in here that can win a base championship? So this 19-year-old raised his hand, and so they called me up there and said, we've got a softball open. You want to coach softball? I said, well, yeah, I can coach softball. I said, I can be a player coach. So I said, let's go with it. And make a long story short, we won two championships in softball and one in football. So here I am coaching 25 and 30-year-olds. And so I get out, and a good friend of mine, I'm about to go to school. He said, what do you want to do for them? He said, what do you enjoy doing most? And I said, coaching and teaching. And the light came on right then. That's what I need to do. So I went into coaching and teaching, and what a life. I had a better year than Saban, but I'm not getting a salary bump. But,
yeah, that's a great story, Jack. That's why I wanted to ask you about it, how you kind of got into that, and coaching grown men was probably a good way to learn in the military at that. You get to Hayes, and you're blessed early on to have a guy like Buck Johnson, who not only was he a terrific player, just a class kid then later a class young man, now a class gentleman, and as he's gotten into his later years. But talk about that experience at the old Hayes High School, and of course we know the recruiting battle between Gene Bartow and Wimp Sanderson for his services were legendary. But to have a guy like Alphonso Buck Johnson early in your career, not only is he a great player, but just a terrific person, and to build teams around him, I guess that kind of became the standard for you as a coach, as far as having a guy like that early in your career that you could tell kids about later on, because boy, he was something special, wasn't he?
Well, the crazy thing about it, I was coaching middle school in Anniston. They had a state championship during that time of middle school, and the team that beat us to go to a Final Eight was Weed-Owl. And so I went up there and watched them play, and they played Hayes Middle School. And Hayes won the state championship, and I thought, well, it'd be great to coach them at high school. And I had a young man that was MVP, was jumping out of the gym. I mean, just what a player. And so, Lord has it, I go to Hayes. Well, I go see the guy that was MVP. And he said, Coach, I'm not playing basketball. He says, I'm a singer, and I'm just going to devote all my time to singing, which broke my heart. But Buck wasn't the best player on that team.
Wow.
And so it happened. Like the Ty, point guard, and Pat, and all those guys were kind of ranked a little bit above Buck, and Buck was just a gangly, 6'4", 6'5", just weighed about 160 pounds. And tell you a good story about that. Buck always he went to Detroit in the summer and stayed up there all summer, and he came back usually about a month late for school. So the principal said, our best player will be back in a month. And so they called me, it was about a month later, and they called me in the office and said, this is Buck Johnson. So we go down about below office, which was about 4x4, and Buck and I sit down face to face. And so I was, wasn't many white coaches during that time, and we sit down, and Buck says, I'm going to Phillips and play with Ennis Watley. So
but that would have been a dynamic duo. Of course, it would have been good for you.
Well, yes, it would. And here's what this young man said, and I leaned about 2 feet from nose to nose, and I said, listen, your butt can go to Phillips and play with Ennis Watley, and you're going to win the state championship 1 year. Rest assured. You stay here, and we're going to win it both years. And he kind of leaned back, and you can see, what? He says, I think I'm going to stay here. So that was my first meeting with Buck Johnson. He said, I'm going to stay here and play. And so the brashness, won his heart and put me on the way.
Yeah, 81 and 82, you won it. And I want to ask you something about him, and I wonder why more players don't employ it. Buck was slight build. He wasn't a powerful guy, but long arm, but knew how to use his body. But, he didn't have a classic jump shot. But that, I don't know if you call it a little half hook, push shot, whatever it was, but his ability to get on either baseline, spin around, create space, get the defender off of him, and use that little one-handed shot that he had, it was just money. We don't see that from players very much. Is that something that he just taught himself, or did you help teach him that?
We teach that today. If you go back and look at our films, John made some jump hooks.
It's a great shot, Coach. I don't understand why more people don't employ that.
I don't either. You get around the goal, and it's basically a read inside the free throw line. And like I said, if they're on you, you can bump them. Most kids tend to open to their weak side and turn right into the defender. I want our kids to all go to their strong side all the time. And now it's really a jump shot turned sideways.
Right.
And that's what we teach.
Good way to describe it.
And that way you can bump and get them off of you if they're up close, and you can just go ahead and shoot it and get it off quicker than turning and shooting a jump shot. So, we work on that every day.
I have seen Petty use that. Yeah, I have seen Petty use that shot. It's a great shot, and like you said, it creates space. I just don't understand why more people don't do it. All right, let's move ahead. Your run at Butler was absolutely phenomenal. 5 straight titles there, and I guess you called it a retirement. When you retired at Butler, did you really? And of course, you came right back at Johnson. But did you think you were retiring long term, or did you intend to coach again?
Well, I prayed about it. I thought, this may be it, and our superintendent, like I said, we kind of bumped heads a little bit, and so that was one of the reasons I went ahead and retired about 2 months before the school was out. And they called me up on Sunday afternoon and said, AD said, can you meet with our superintendent? And so we met, and it was really on closure, and so I really wanted to go to Huntsville, and with my wife. She was about to retire in a few years, and so I just said, Lord, if you want this to happen, I open the door. So I put some hurdles in there that I had to hire one of my assistant coaches who had moved to Grissom, and Ken Betts, and superintendent said, you got it. And so it was just a marriage, made in heaven. When I went to Johnson, we had to work twice as hard to beat them when I was at Butler. So now, here I am there, and I've got really good athletes too, and a lot more than we had at Butler. And like I said, the good Lord has blessed it. We tried to do it right, and so it's been a lot of fun.
You got to coach Buck Johnson, pardon me, and of course you coached a lot of great players, but talk to me about Trevor Lacey, because dynamic player with a ball in his hand, could also spot up and knock the jump shot down, high energy guy, attack the rim. As a high school player, when I watched him play, I thought, well, man, this may be the best high school player I've ever seen. He was really a dynamic player.
Well, he tweaked his knee against Selma, and I think he had scored 18 straight points in a row. I've never seen anybody that hot. I did see him that way in the next summer, but he scored 18 straight points. But a little disappointed in Nancy Grant. I hate to say that, but I was his player development wasn't very good, and he's playing in Italy and doing really well. In fact, he broke his finger, and he's averaging 16 a game. He was really having a really good year going. Broke his finger, and then about 2 weeks later, I called and he says, Coach, I'm gonna play. And so he's playing his first game back. I think he had another good run there, and they caught an elbow and broke a bone in his cheek. But he's excited about his future, and he's really, really playing well, and he's shooting like he did back in high school. So I'm excited about his future, and he's excited about it. So, but he loves Alabama. I know, University of Alabama, and he really didn't want to go. I don't know if y'all want to get into that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what happened with his stint at Alabama.
Well, I'll never forget, I was doing my taxes. I was in Arab. Rodney Melson's a great tax man, but a great Alabama fan too. But I was coming back, and the phone rings, and my wife and I was coming back. And he said, Coach, where are you? I said, well, I'm in town in about an hour. He said, well, I'm home. I need to talk to you. And I said, I'll just meet you at the house. So I met him, and so I told Trevor, I said, he's got a meeting with Anthony Grant on Thursday. I said, Trevor, pray about it. I said, you'll have an answer when you leave me. You'll have a good feeling of what you need to do. And he said, Coach, I won't stay. I said, well, I understand that. I said, if you have that feeling when you leave from there, that's what you need to do. And so he calls me, and after it was over with, he says, Coach, I'm on transfer. I'm either going to North Carolina or North Carolina State. And it was somebody else. I can't remember. And I said, what happened? He said, well, first thing Anthony said, I'm not changing anything. And he's saying, I'm not asking you to change anything, really, to himself. And never once asked him to stay.
Wow.
Never once asked him to stay. And he leaves from there. And so I've got some other stuff, but I'm not going to say. But, Anthony lied to me, and I took him up on that. And but on some stuff. But Anthony's a good person, but like I said, in this way they did that afternoon or that night, one of the assistant coaches called and says, can we eat? And Trevor said, yes. So he said, Trevor, you need to stay. You need to stay. And so the next morning, I called another assistant coach before he leaves, said, let's have breakfast. He said, you need to stay. You need to stay. So Anthony never, said, you need to stay. We'll make you a better player, or you can help our program. And so that's the way it went down,
Wow.
And it's, but I'm glad we got a new coach, and like I said, he can speak and do the right things and recruit and be true to his word. And I know that 3 times they weren't true to their word, so that kind of upsets me too, and I let them know it. But it is what it is. You reap what you sow.
Yep, turn the page. Well, I've asked you about Buck, I've asked you about Trevor, and now, of course, the guy everybody's waiting for me to ask you about is John Petty. And he is joining this dynamic recruiting class that Avery Johnson is put together with Colin Sexton and others. But let's talk about Petty. I've seen him the last several years there in Birmingham at the state tournament. I remember telling some people a couple years ago, I said, man, this kid is just unbelievable. He's, long, athletic, 3-point range, high flyer, seemed very coachable, good attitude. I know you know him better than just about anybody. Talk about how you project him, not long-term, but right now as a freshman here at the University of Alabama. What do you think this Tide team can get out of him, and how productive you think he can be right away? How good is he?
He's so tough mentally. It's we put a lot on him, and I guess the best thing I did, and I wish I could have been a better coach for Buck. He could have been a lot better player. But, I let John play some point guard and developed him both inside and out, which when I was early coaching Buck, I, kept him inside, and I could have done a lot better job with him now. But John he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got some toughness about him. He's got length. He's athletic, and he knows how to play the game. He can distinguish strengths and weaknesses of different zones when he got the ball, and it's basically a rigged game. And I'll put it this way: I'll be disappointed. I think he's the sixth person that I put in SEC, our program put in SEC, and they've all started. So that bodes well for John, and we played probably the toughest schedule in the country this time, and had a chance to win all of them but one, and most of those were against top 20 teams. And the one we lost was Blackman, which they had a really good team, but we played them at 9 o'clock in the morning. I think that's the first time I've seen our team sleep through a game. But, it is what it is. But John can do it all. I mean, he can, hand it. And he's so unselfish, and that's another key in it. And it bodes well for college, but it doesn't bode well for NBA. But because they want the lead man. But, that's the way he's been brought up and in our system, and it's going to be really good for Alabama because, like I said, he's going to hit the open man. He can score whenever he needs to score, and but he'll get in gaps and read the other man, and even in All-Star games, I was a little disappointed he was hurt, but he was throwing the ball in. Whoever throws the ball in never gets the ball back.
That's right.
In All-Star games.
Yeah.
And once he did get it, I think he had 4 or 5 assists. But, that's just the way he is. He's satisfied in his skin, and he'll certainly be an asset to Alabama. He's signed autographs for hours, taking pictures. So he's been there, done that, and he's just going to be a great ambassador for the University of Alabama basketball.
Jack, what do you think about he and Sexton playing together?
Well, we've been to some tournaments, and with Sexton, and it's going to be interesting. Like I said, he's got a lot of mustard and ketchup on the hot dog, and and it's going to be interesting, Avery bringing those guys together, but John and Colin are good friends. They're going to room together. So, like I said, at the end of the day, those kids are, like I said, they're winners.
Well, it ought to be a lot of fun. And final question, I'm going to I kind of danced around this earlier, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. You're over 800 wins, and of course you're winning, about 30 games a clip. How many more years you want to do this?
Well, it's in prayer after every season. If I'm healthy and that's, I feel like it. That's as long as I'm doing the Lord's will, that's the key. And I just listen, just pray, and then I just listen. And then that's kind of hard to do because you want to. But I thought I was going to get out this time. I've got nothing to. This is the greatest season a coach could ever have, and go out on top. But I thought that's what I was going to do, and then some kids need me there to school and help them with their future, and so I said, we had 8 seniors out of 10, and only one of those started, another one played on the JV. So really, we're kind of just redoing the whole situation, building from ground up, which, like I said, it'd been easier to get out. But I'm not in it for wins. I'm in it for young men to succeed, and that's the key. And as long as I'm helping them, I mean, if you stay in it a long time, 800 wins means I'm coaching a long, long time, and so the wins doesn't matter. It's young men, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of their lives, especially when we may have 8 of them that doesn't have dads that's living at home, and it just gives you an opportunity to share Christ with those guys, and it's been a blessing to, like I said, be a part of coaching. The only thing I don't like is the pay for the high school coaches, which I've been, ambassador of that. But, it is. I can win 30 and lose 30. You still make the same thing. And but there's a lot of good coaches out there that needs to be paid more, and because we're developing kids too, they need to reward the ones that's getting it done.
Well, it's been a great career and still going on, and I've enjoyed the visit, Coach. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, get one up. I don't know if I can do a little advertisement. Is that kosher? Can we do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm working for Bill Pooh Realty, so I'm coaching the afternoon and at Bill Pooh Real Estate, commercial real estate, and do that in the morning. So if anybody's looking for property or commercial real estate or land or hunting land up this way. I did read this morning's paper that we're going to be the largest city in the state of Alabama in 10 years. So if people are interested in investment, how about give me a call at Bill Pooh Realty.
You guide them through like you've guided these young men for 30 plus years, and it's going to be a big success. Thank you, Coach.